All right. So let's talk about what you came up with, what details. And I'll type them. Ammon, tell me what situation you came up with. What's the situation here? Did you guys write down on your whiteboard for situation? Whoever can read it, please. Did somebody do something different? James, what did you guys write? Yeah. So what did you write? Uh-huh. Okay. What's the problem? Okay. This is when my nails get in the way. Observations. Okay. Got it. It works. So anybody want to share what they wrote for theirs? I'm not going to type it out. Alex, share what you guys did.
So we did each of our own. So mine was the situation was Afraid of Heights.
Afraid of Heights situation.
And the dog has to save him.
Dog saves him.
They don't know how to fix the problem of the heights. The setting is a big and noisy.
Big and noisy city. Love it. All right, let's go on to the next thing. There are many ways to begin a narrative. Choose a technique to see it in action. Okay, so this is a great time to take some notes. So you can start your narrative with some interesting dialogue, right? Starting right off with people talking. Let's read this together. Write about your grandmother, my dad. Let's read this together again. Write about your great-grandmother, my dad had said. I needed to write a long composition about a person after conducting an interview, and I still hadn't found someone. I pictured the mouse, quiet, white-haired old lady who barely came up to my shoulder. How can I interview her? She barely talks. If you ask the right questions, she will. Yeah, he said. Ask about the wasps. Why? Was she some kind of insect scientist? Or did she get attacked by them once? WASP, Women Air Force Service Pilots. She was a WASP during World War II. She flew military planes in the U.S. My jaw dropped. Are we both talking about the same person? In this short story, the opening dialogue establishes a situation and suggests an interesting tale will follow. So that's a possibility for, we're talking about the hook. Has anybody thought about what we're learning? Could we apply this to anything else? All things, right? Any writing you do. Isn't this kind of like just good writing? A good hook is just great writing. So when you're writing any kind of an essay, a story, you always want to get your reader excited. So you could start with interesting dialogue. Vivid description of a character. All right, let's read this together. Ready? Write about your great-grandmother, my dad had said. I needed to write a long composition about a person after conducting an interview. Oh wait, it's the same thing. All right, so we read it once. So this is the vivid description. So they started with interesting dialogue. In the first here, right? So that they just highlighted all the dialogue. Now I get it. And now we're talking about the interesting description. So they talk about the grandma here, right? This meek little woman, and then he finds out she's what? She's kind of rad, right? She's kind of like Superwoman. All right, an attention-grabbing question. Is this new? Okay, together. I've been raised to respect elderly people, but if you're 12 years old, which I was when these events happened, you want to do things your parents don't want you to do, and vice versa. I didn't really want to respect my great-grandmother, Maisie Cullen. I didn't even want to be around her. She was just a little old lady who lived with my dad's aunt. How could I possibly have guessed that this same little old lady would give me plenty of reasons to regard older people with respect? This question, which closes the opening of this personal narrative, spurs the reader to keep reading. So can you think of a cool question that you could ask for your story? So I want you to look at your story so far. Do you have any of this in your introduction? Maybe take a second and just jot some notes about dialogue, vivid description. Look at your introduction for just a minute. Make some notes. Okay, so hint at a conflict. So not full-blown introducing the conflict, but hinting at a conflict. What's another word that you could use for hinting at a conflict? Talk at your table. The other word that's sometimes used for hinting at a conflict. Oh, I heard it, yay! You guys are so good. Foreshadowing, right? So hinting at a conflict. Write that in your notes, please. So what's the hint here? What's the word, a couple phrase here that's the hint of what's to come? All right. So let's talk about setting here. Ready for setting? This is new, correct? Okay, let's read all together. Every single person's reading right now. When I say we're all reading, we're all reading. Because this is part of, how do you get to be a better reader? By reading. So this is part of reading classes, practicing reading out loud. Yes, honey? Always you can move up. You never need to ask. Sure. Okay, let's read together. I knocked timidly on the door. A quavering voice told me to come in. I hadn't been in my great-grandmother's room for a few years. It didn't have the unpleasant look and the smell I was expecting. Instead, it was cheery and light, and a breeze poured in through the open windows. Maisie Cullen, looking almost noble, sat in her armchair. She gestured for me to sit down. Then she picked up a photo from the table near her. Wasn't that a great setting building description? Yeah. So make sure, make a little side note on your story. Really spend some time. I mean, that's like a paragraph with setting. You could kill a whole paragraph just with setting, you guys. Isn't that great? And you can use lots of fun words, too. Okay, so by showing Maisie's setting is different than expected, the writer hints the more unexpected details are to come. So the author giving us that surprise in the setting gives us some excitement for the story. All right, surprising statement. Ready? So I'll read. In a tree trunk, there's one ring for each year the tree has lived. People don't have such rings, but they are made up of layers. I discovered this when I dug deep into the life of my 94-year-old great-grandmother, Maisie Cullen. This personal narrative begins with thoughtful observations that provoke your interest. Okay, surprising statement. Also a technique. Okay, better hook. Let's read together. You've written the first draft of a short story about a girl who nurses her beloved dog back to good health after it is injured. You have two versions of the opening, but you aren't satisfied with either. Use the techniques described here to improve each version. Okay. So they want you to edit this opening. So what I want you to do is with your table, I want you to talk about what you would. So at your table, I want you to talk about what you would change. We're going to spend like 2 minutes discussing this, and then we will put your ideas in. All right, raise your hand if you guys have a great bunch of edits. Luke, share what you would do. Heard a loud. This is Luke's. What? Heard a loud. One day. Wait, what? All right, Audrey. One day.
No, not there. But
Okay.
it says that the dog meant everything to her. She's to explain like how she got the dog. What
Okay.
type of dog it is.
So explain details about the dog, how she got the dog. What else? And maybe why meant everything to her. Good. Perfect. What else, Isaac?
Then he said, then one day, something unexpected happened to Russell.
Okay, so adding some more detail. Alex, what else?
They should also then one day Russell was injured. They should tell how
he got injured. Good. All right, let's look at the next one. So talk to your table about this one. Okay, so who would like to share? Kaden, go ahead and share what you guys would do.
I would give a bit of background because right now it's like a really random person or random dog.
So it says include vivid details about the setting and make the last sentence more of a surprise.
And the last sentence, instead of hurt himself, would be hit the ground hard.
Okay, so describing the actual what happened. What else? Somebody I haven't heard from yet. James, what did you guys discuss?
We would have changed the last sentence to was left into left and next thing to make out new. Russell was fine.
Okay, great. All right. So I want you to take a second and write down 2 things that you learned from this lesson, and we're going to share them. I'm going to call on you. You can talk to somebody if you're having time. Okay, what did you learn from this lesson, Natalie?
I learned that you have to have a lot more detail and you have to be very descriptive with what's going on because I like the second one a lot better because it had a lot more detail.
Okay, so detail. Excellent. Zach. Detail. Please try to say something new. Leah?
You have to add more stuff to describe the setting.
Okay, so more stuff to describe the setting. Sydney.
I learned that you should use a surprising statement and add the conflict.
Okay, hint at the conflict and surprising statements are great strategies to make it interesting. AJ. Okay, background information adds to having it flow and make sense, giving it context. Good. Isaac?
I learned that stories can be changed by how we describe it.
Mm-hmm. Stories can be changed by how to describe it. Anybody else want to share that I didn't call? Alex?
You can add descriptive words and use it.
Good. All right. Thanks, you guys.